بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وموالاه. Tonight is the 20th Jumada al-Ula, the year 1440 Hijri, 25th of January 2019. And we are still in the chapter of Istiqbal al-Qibla, Istiqbal al-Kaaba, that is heading towards the Kaaba, from the book Sifat Salat al-Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the description of the prayer of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, كَأَنَّكَ تَرَاهَا, just like you're seeing it, from the takbir to the taslim, from the beginning to the end. And as a recap, before we finish this chapter, we said that one of the pillars, or we said the conditions, we said in that, and we explained, pillars of the condition depending upon how you treat the Istiqbal al-Kaaba. Our Shaykh Al-Albani treats it as a pillar, part of the prayer. Some scholars describe it as not part of the prayer, but both pillar and condition, they have the same power, in terms of that if you did not do it, your prayer will be invalid. Istiqbal al-Qibla is to be a pillar except in the following cases, and we mentioned those cases. Those cases, number one is the one who is fighting in the prayer. We've written that, yes? Yeah. The one who had fought or is battle, and also in the extreme fear. And the second one is the one who is unable to head towards the Qibla because of illness, or maybe he was in a ship or a car or a plane and he was fearing that the time would pass without praying the prayer, or he's not able to make the prayer in time, and that's why he could pray without facing the Qibla. Third one, the one who prays voluntary, nafila, or witr, when he is riding, that means in his car, and we said that it is recommended for the person to start his takbirat al-ihram facing the Qibla, and then regardless whether the car heads towards, it doesn't matter the direction, but the recommendation is to start your takbirat al-ihram towards the Qibla. And we have to add as well here something that people maybe ask me about it. You have to be on a journey? No, you don't have to be on a journey. You could be just going next door shop. So you don't have to be a journey. So you can pray nafila as long as you're not the driver. Remember that? You're the passenger, so you are with the brother who's driving. You could pray your nafila. It's recommended to start towards the Qibla, but it is not a condition. And you could pray, as I said, even if you're a resident, so it doesn't have to be a travel. Now, we're coming towards, as well, the last thing that we have said, that regarding the nodding, or pointing with the head. We said pointing with the head is not like this. Making ruku' and sujood has to be with the whole body. We said that. I'm going to explain a bit more as well, inshallah. Now, we said that the person who does not see the Qibla, then all he has to do is to have the direction in general. So he has the general direction. So this direction could go as long as within the 180 degrees, no problem. But if he sees the Qibla, or he has some tool where he could define where the Qibla, then he should be going towards the Qibla. Now you could see that your masjid is towards the corner. If you did not have that sort of technology, let's say you were at the time of the Prophet of Allah, you would be able to pray towards the what? The wall, this wall or that wall, no problem. But because now we have, as I said, tools by which you could pinpoint where the Qibla is, even by half a degree, a little degree, it's like you're seeing the Qibla. So that's why you put this Qibla according to what you found and the right direction for it. Now, coming to Hadith Jabir, the last hadith we mentioned is ما بين المشرق والمغرب قبلة. Between east and west is Qibla, and we said this hadith is only for the person who is either lying in the south or the north of the Qibla. But if he's lying to the east or the west, then between south and north there's a Qibla. Okay? Remember that. Prophet of Allah was in Medina, and Medina was in the north of the Kaaba. Kaaba was in the south of Medina. That's why between east and west. But if you are in the east or the west, then the south and the north will be your direction for the Qibla. Jabir ibn Abdullah. Now. Right, please. Jabir ibn Abdullah.
Jabir radiallahu anhu said, once we were with the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam on an expedition. The sky was cloudy, so we tried to find the Qibla, but we differed. So each one of us prayed in a different direction. And each of us drew marks in front of him in order to make our position. In the morning, we looked at it and found that we had not prayed towards the Qibla. So we mentioned this to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, but he did not order us to repeat the prayer. And he said, your prayer was sufficient.
This is, we have to put a subtitle for it, which is praying the Nafila, a voluntary prayer, it's not obligatory prayer. And also that in a pitch night darkness, you couldn't really find out where the direction is. So what happened is that whether with the Prophet ﷺ in an expedition, or troops, or a journey, and then they were praying on their own, let's say for example they're witr, and they're not riding, they are on the floor, on the ground, and you're supposed to face the Qibla. So each one, because it's a pitch darkness, and remember this is like, we're talking about an expedition, sometimes it's not really easy to be together, you have to be maybe on your own. And also it is cloudy, that means they can't see the stars by which you could really pinpoint their direction. So it was a pitch darkness, we have to add that to the hadith. Another hadith is pitch darkness, and this hadith is in Irwa al-Ghalil, hadith number 291, and it was pitch darkness, and each of the companion, what he did, he drew a line for himself when he was praying. So let's say one praying this way, so he put a line, so he knows he's praying that direction. Another person was praying that way, and he was putting a line, because they didn't know they were praying exactly in the same direction, or different. Remember, they're in expedition, and they're not maybe together, and there's an enemy who will watch. So ones were praying that way, one praying that way. So in the morning, when they found out that they are actually praying in different directions, in all the directions. So they went to the Prophet ﷺ, and they said to him, so the ones who prayed towards other than the direction of the Qibla, they have asked the Prophet of Allah, and the ones who had, mashallah, hit the target, he doesn't have to ask because he's correct. So Messenger of Allah, we prayed some of us this way, some of us that way. He did not command us to repeat the prayer. He said, your prayer is valid. We understand from this hadith, if this person had tried his best to pinpoint the Qibla, and he didn't have anybody to help him, and he prayed towards a direction, let's say it's a Dhuhr prayer, and then after a bit of while, somebody from a Muslim said, no brother, your Qibla direction is completely wrong. He doesn't have to repeat the prayer, even the Dhuhr time hasn't finished. Even it's still in the Dhuhr time, okay? So if you have prayed and you've finished your prayer, and you have made your investigation towards where is the direction of the Qibla, and you have realized that you were wrong, there's no need for you to repeat the prayer. I hope that inshallah will be clear cut. Let's talk about now an incident that is very unique, that took place at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. Now, so you could put as well subtitle for that, that is Tahweel al-Qibla. Tahweel al-Qibla means that the direction of the Qibla is changed now. Changing the direction of the Qibla. So this is the subtitle for that. Tahweel al-Qibla. We're going to talk about what happened at the beginning. The Qibla was towards Bayt al-Maqdis, which is Masjid al-Aqsa. Then Allah made it to be transferred towards the Kaaba. Now,
he sallallahu alayhi wasallam used to pray towards Bayt al-Muqaddas with the Kaaba. Bayt al-Maqdis with the Kaaba in front of him. Before the following verse was revealed. We see the turning of your face to the heavens. Now shall we turn you to a Qibla that should please you. Turn then your faces in the direction of the sacred mosque. Baqarah 2:144.
Allah says, قَدْ نَرَى تَقَلُّبَ وَجْهِكَ فِي السَّمَاءِ فَلَنُوِلِّيَنَّكَ قِبْلَةً تَرْضَاهَا فَوَلِّ وَجْهَكَ شَطْرَ الْمَسْجِدِ الْحَرَامِ. Now,
when it was revealed, he faced the Kaaba. There were people, the Quba, praying Fajr when someone came to them and said, verily the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had some of the Quran revealed to him last night, and he has been ordered to face the Kaaba. Verily, so face it. Their faces were towards Sham, so they turned around, and the Imam turned around to face the Qibla along with them.
Right. This incident, I would like to talk about it, especially that some of you maybe went to Al-Madinah, and they went to Quba, and then between Quba and Medina, they must have heard about a masjid called Masjid Al-Qiblatayn, the masjid called the two Qibla. So we'd like to talk about that as well to make sure that you understand the idea behind it. First of all, Medina, we said, lies to the north of the Kaaba. So let's say, now I'm going to make an example here. That's my book, is the Kaaba. Okay? And then we have this tissue is representing Medina. So the Medina is in the north of the Kaaba. Bayt al-Maqdis is where the pencil is. Okay? It's the other direction. Do you understand what I'm saying? So this is Medina. This is the Kaaba. So the companions along the Prophet ﷺ, they used to pray towards where? Bayt al-Maqdis, this way. The Kaaba is the opposite, completely the opposite, 180 degrees the other direction towards the Kaaba. So they're praying like this. Now the ahadith, which was narrated regarding this issue, are a number of ahadith. One, in Sahih Imam Muslim, and others in Sahih Bukhari and Muslim. And I would like to narrate some of them so you understand what happened. In one of the hadiths, which is the Prophet ﷺ, when he came to Medina, he prayed towards Bayt al-Maqdis for 16 or 17 months. This hadith is Sahih. For 16 or 17 months. That's a year and a half. For 16 or 17 months, Prophet used to pray what? Towards Masjid al-Aqsa, Bayt al-Maqdis. And the Prophet ﷺ, he used to love to pray towards what? The Kaaba. At the beginning, he didn't mind because he wanted to get closer to the Jews. The Jews were living surrounding the Medina, the outskirts of the Medina were Jews. Prophet ﷺ, he wanted to capture their hearts, so he had done lots of things in order to make them, tilted towards Islam. So for example, his hairstyle, instead of being in a party, he made it like at the back, just to imitate the people of the Jews. So for example, he had also made the fasting of Ashura. Ashura, the Jews used to pray, to fast it. So he used to match them as well with that. And in that as well, he prayed towards what? Bayt al-Maqdis. Not only that, at the beginning, Prophet of Allah used to have the call for the prayer. Before the adhan, it was the, call it in English, the nocht, which is like a seashell. Like the Jews do that. I don't know what you say that. The one like a seashell, big one, and then blow into it and it makes a whistle. Then he took the bell as well, which is the Christians. Then later on, he had hadith, the division of Abdullah ibn Zayd, also the vision of Umar al-Khattab, synchronizing of the adhan that we are being called. So when the Prophet ﷺ, he had given up hope that the Jews would follow him, Prophet ﷺ started now to make personalizing the identity of the Muslim. Pray in his shoes and be different from the Jews. Christians and the Jews, they don't dye your grey hair. Then the Prophet of Allah, his hair went to do it again as it was before. Not anymore with party, so it was the back. And also, now, he started to look at the heavens. قَدْ نَرَى تَقَلُّبَ وَجْهِكَ فِي السَّمَاءِ. We could see that you are turning your face into the heaven. فَلَنُوَلِّيَنَّكَ قِبْلَةً تَرْضَاهَا. We're going to give you a qibla that you will be pleased with it. After 16 or 17 months, the command came onto the Prophet ﷺ, that is, فَوَلِّ وَجْهَكَ شَطْرَ الْمَسْجِدِ الْحَرَامِ, face the Masjid al-Haram. Prophet ﷺ was so happy. Now that command, when it came, when the Prophet ﷺ finished the prayer, for verily, there's a hadith tells us that there was a man who had left the, when the Prophet ﷺ did it himself. So now you have to really envisage with me what happened. The hadith is being narrated in two narrations. One is the narration where the Prophet of Allah was praying the Asr prayer. An Asr prayer is 4 rak'ah. The ayah was revealed and Allah's Messenger had it while he was praying, and he prayed already 2 rak'ah. So the Prophet ﷺ prayed 2 rak'ah. Now, when you pray 2 rak'ah and you want to pray the other 2 rak'ah towards the Kaaba, that's a big issue going to take place. Because there's women behind the men. So imagine now they're praying towards Bayt al-Maqdis, this way. So this is the Imam, men, and behind him is what? Women. So it's not now simply just turning your face like this, because you're going to be turning to face you towards the people, the men. And the women will be in front of the men. So it is the Imam has to leave from that place and go into this place, and the men follow him, and then the women will be behind the men. And that's a lot of movement. Talking about masjid like this, imagine that I am praying towards this direction, now the Qibla stand to that direction, opposite. What I'm going to do, I'm going to walk this way, and I pray towards that direction, and you yourself, you're going to be following me, and imagine there's women behind you, they're going to be behind us. It's a lot of movement. Imam Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani regarding this issue, he explains it. He says, verily, either at that time, movement that much, it was not prohibited. For verily at the time, at the beginning, companions used to ask each other, even at the beginning of the prayer, which rak'ah you are in. You would tell him, I'm in the second rak'ah, while he's praying. That was in the beginning. And then what he do, then he would make his 2 rak'ah and catch up with the remaining of it. So they used to talk in the prayer at the beginning. Until a companion had done what we are doing at the moment. We follow the prayer, and then whatever we miss from the prayer, we compensate after the prayer is finished. And Allah's Messenger, he had confirmed what that companion had done. Inna lillahi wa lillahi azza wa jal has the right to do whatever he likes in his affair, and from his commands is that there is no talk in the prayer. And after that, there was no talk. Or the second explanation is that Imam Hajar, he says, Rahimahullāh, that the movement was needed. And if there's a movement is needed, there's no problem. So I'll give you an example. A man lost his wudu while he is in the prayer. And let's say you've got a toilet here where the door is there. The Imam, he doesn't have to pull someone to lead the prayer. He could just lead the prayer while you're standing up, or whatever position you're in, and you have to wait. Goes in wudu, finishes the wudu, come back, and what? Continue the prayer. Continue. Even if his first part of his prayer was not in wudu. Let's say, remember, he was not having any wudu. So first, the first rak'ah or the second rak'ah, 2 rak'ahs have already come from the 4 rak'ah without wudu. If he does the following, that he considers himself in a prayer and goes to the wudu and make wudu, and he's in a prayer, he's not supposed to talk, come back and lead the prayer, then these 2 rak'ah that he prayed with no wudu are accepted. Because he's still in the prayer. And he remembered. It's like a person who was praying and then he saw his aura had what been exposed. If he pulled it, no problem. And if he left it, prayer is invalid. Same thing with the wudu. If he left it, the wudu is invalid. But if he had remembered and made wudu, it's accepted. Same thing. And this is the hadith of Abi Bakr radiallahu anhu. where he said that the Prophet ﷺ one day, in Salat al-Fajr, is about to lead the prayer. And he said, Allahu Akbar. He was not on wudu, he was on janaba. He got in ghusl. So, فَأَشَارَ عَنْ مَكَانَكُمْ. He made a gesture with his hand, stay put. We understand from this hadith, stay put, that means he did not speak. Because if he was not in a prayer, he would have just said, I lost my wudu, I'm never going to. But he did not say that, he just did this gesture. So they stayed put, and they stayed in their place. Prophet made the ghusl, came back, was water dripping from him, and he continued the prayer, did not start Takbir al-Ihram again. Takbir al-Ihram was what? On no wudu. It was on janaba. And the rest was completed on the wudu. Coming back. So the Prophet ﷺ, when he had the command, there was a lot of movement. One of the people who prayed with the Prophet ﷺ, he went to the people of Quba. Quba is not far away. It's about 5 miles from Medina, Masjid of the Prophet, from Banu Auf there. And he went there. And he was in the Fajr prayer. And they were praying the Fajr prayer towards Jerusalem, Bayt al-Maqdis. I don't like the word Jerusalem. Bayt al-Maqdis, Masjid al-Aqsa. So he said to them, verily, the command came onto the Prophet ﷺ, and I witnessed the prayer. He said, I was praying that the Qibla was towards what? The Kaaba. The companions adhered to that command straight away in the prayer. So one rak'ah was towards Bayt al-Maqdis, and one rak'ah was towards what? Al-Kaaba. So they turned, and the men turned with them, and the women with the back. So we have 2 prayers, Asr and Fajr, and both being established in authentic hadith. 2 rak'ah were towards this, and 2 rak'ah were towards that. Same thing, 1 rak'ah was towards this, and 1 rak'ah towards that. And as I said, this was essential to be needed, or it could be at the beginning of the time when there was no problem to talk and make a lot of movement. Now, what do we gain from this? A lot. Number 1, we gain that if a person was in a prayer and he realized that he did not face the Qibla, then he should turn to the Qibla while in his prayer. This is different from what we said, that when you finish the prayer and you realize that you are on the Qibla, no problem. But now you are still in the what? In the prayer. Even last tashahhud. You've realized that you are not on the Qibla. So you turn towards the Qibla for the remaining of your prayer. Number 2, that it is also allowed to give directions and to give advice from the person who does not pray to the person who's what? Is praying. So if you are in a prayer and you were, for example, not towards the Qibla, so I could come to you, or I could just say to you, brother, turn slightly to the left. No problem. Another benefit that you listening to me, it will not invalidate your prayer as a person who's praying. So you turn to us. If you did not even turn properly, you could just hold him from his shoulder and tilt him correctly towards the Qibla. There's no problem about that. And you should not really be annoyed because of this. You should be as well lenient with you. So you could turn you from the back and you could turn with him. And no problem about that. We've learned this from this as well. And we learned, very important issue, that the Hizb al-Tahrir, they always say about, let me hear about Hizb al-Tahrir. Tahrir is not really now at the moment thriving like as the time I was in, but maybe some people have heard of it. It's called HT. Yeah, who heard about Hizb al-Tahrir? Alhamdulillah, there's very few people. Alhamdulillah. That means they're dying, basically. Their manhaj is dying. But we have to immunize those people. They say, from their aqidah, is that there is a differentiate between khabar al-ahad and khabar al-mutawatir. The hadith, which is narrated not in a way which is mutawatir, is called ahad, and our aqidah cannot be taken from ahad, meaning single narrations. Okay? So this is a very powerful argumentation against it. It's in Sahih Bukhari. The Salah is Aqidah, isn't it? Prayer. It's a prayer. So when that person was in his own, came to the companions in Quba, and he said to them, I'm very loud, testified, I've received the Prophet of Allah, I had the command that you have to change towards the Qibla, to the Kaaba, not to Baitul Maqdis. They did not say to him, brother, you are on your own, bring us other people so we could believe. They never said that. It's a very important issue that we learned, that if somebody is trustworthy, came to you with news, you have to what? Accept it. You don't say to him, bring the other brother to believe you. Yes, more people when they come, they give more belief in your heart. Your iman strengthens, that's true. But we don't say that the person is trustworthy, that you can't believe you have to bring another person. And that's the shahad. So, khabar al-ahad maqboolun fil aqidah as well. Now, after all of that, we come to the Masjid al-Qiblatayn. So what is the story of Masjid al-Qiblatayn? Masjid al-Qiblatayn is not one of those mazarat. Have I talked about it last time? Yeah. Okay. So alhamdulillah, we say to you that Masjid al-Qiblatayn is not from the areas which is listed in the areas which is from the Sunnah you're going to see them when you come to Medina. The areas you should see them when you come to the Medina, number one, the Masjid of the Prophet. Number two, to visit the grave of the Prophet. Number three, to visit the graves of the Baqi al-Gharqat. Number four, Masjid Quba. And number five, the martyrs of Uhud, near the mountain of Uhud. That's it. Other than that, that would be tourism. You want to go, for example, to the King Fahd, printing Mushaf. No problem. Go to the library, no problem. That's tourism. It's not religiously talking. Those are the places, religiously, you'll be rewarded for visiting them. Masjid the Prophet. Praying the Masjid of the Prophet is equivalent to 1,000 rakat. Multiple compared to other masjid except for the Masjid al-Haram. Whereas one prayer in the Masjid al-Haram is equivalent to 100 prayer in the Masjid of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Coming back now to the Qiyam.
He sallallahu alayhi wasallam used to stand in prayer for both obligatory and voluntary prayers, carrying out the command of the Exalted.
وَقُومُوا لِلَّهِ قَانِتِينَ. Translation of which?
And stand before Allah devoutly. In Surah Al-Baqarah 238.
As in the journey.
As for during a journey, he would pray voluntary prayers on his riding beast. He set the example for his ummah to pray during severe fear on foot or while mounted, as has been mentioned, and that is the purpose of the saying of Allah.
حافظوا على الصلوات والصلاة الوسطى وقوموا لله قانتين.
Guard strictly your habits of prayers, especially in the middle prayer, and stand before Allah devoutly.
فإن خفتم فرجالا أو ركبانا.
If you fear an enemy, then pray on foot or while riding.
فإذا أمنتم فاذكروا الله كما علمكم ما لم تكونوا تعلمون.
But when you are in security, celebrate Allah's praises in the manner He has taught you, which you didn't know before. In Surah Al-Baqarah,
verse 238. Now, and also continue, please.
He sallallahu alaihi wasallam prayed sitting during the illness of which he died. He also prayed sitting on other occasion before that when he was injured, and the people behind him prayed standing. So he indicated them to sit. So they sat and prayed. When he finished, he said, "You are going to do as the Persians and the Romans do. Stand for their kings who sit. So do not do so, for the Imam is there to be followed. When he makes ruku, make ruku. When he rises, rise. And when he prays sitting, pray sitting, all of you."
Now, Al-Qiyam definitely is one of the pillars of the prayer. And this Qiyam, Prophet ﷺ used to do it while he was in the fard, or he was in the tatawwur, which is the voluntary. It is a pillar Okay? But this pillar is not a pillar in the following cases. Following case number 1, that is Salat al-Khawf, for verily the prayer of the fear, prayer of the extreme fighting. You don't have to stand up. You could pray. You could pray sitting down, pray standing up, pray on mount, you could pray because you are in khawf. Just the same thing we said regarding the facing of the Qibla. We say exactly the same thing. When you are in extreme fear, Qiyam is not a pillar. Also, the person who is ill, so ill, he's incapable of standing up. For this person, if he can't stand up, then he prays, as we're going to see inshallah later on, sitting down. And if he can't sit down, then on his side. If he can't stay on his side, then on his back. And he will make his ruku' and his sujood by gesture. And also it is not a pillar on the person who is praying voluntary. So al-qiyam is a pillar in the obligatory, but in the voluntary it is not a pillar. For verily the person, he is in a voluntary, he could pray sitting down. Now how can he pray on his side or lying back? That's a controversial. Allah Ta'ala A'lam, no. It is only for the sick. He cannot pray sitting down, he can pray on his side, as we're going to explain how, or on his back. But you cannot pray voluntary sunnah while you're on your back. Or on your side, but you can pray while you are what? Sitting down. But if you are ill, then you have more options. Now, we're going to talk about the praying of the ill more further with the following title, which is Salat al-Maridi Jalisa, prayer of the person who's ill, sitting down. But let's just now focus on what he had said there. He said, that is, وَقُومُوا لِلَّهِ قَانِتِينَ, and stand up in your prayer, قَانِتِينَ, طَائِعِينَ. So you have to stand up in the prayer. And he says, apart from the journey, for he used to pray on his mount. Now, the prayer in the journey on the mount, you have to understand that this journey when you pray on the mount, that it is voluntary. Can I pray obligatory on the mount, let's say in the car? Yes, in the following cases. Case number 1, or the following conditions. Condition number 1 is that the mount is staying still. That means not moving. Number 2, I'm able to do full qiyam, full ruku', full sujood. Let's say you're in a caravan. You know the caravan? Caravan is a mobile house. You know the mobile house? You can stand there, it's like a house. So if you are in that house at the back, somebody's driving, so if you stay still and stand parked, you can pray inside that caravan. No problem about that. And also, you could pray inside that mount, the caravan, or and even though you can't make ruku' or sujood, the obligatory prayer I'm talking about, if, for example, you are not able to stop that. Let's say it is a bus that does not belong to you. It's a government bus, or it's a route. You're not going to stop. Train, a plane. Okay? So when you are being pushed to pray the prayer on board of that plane, then you pray as Allah says, فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَسْتَطَعْتُمْ. Fear Allah as much as you can. We're not going to be able to ask the pilot to park his plane and pray on the earth. It's impossible. So what you need to do is to pray your prayer before you board a plane. Or if you had time after you land, to pray the prayer on land. You only pray in the plane when it is a necessity. That means your flight time somehow is going to take 2 prayers time. Dhuhr and Asr all together. Because you can pray Dhuhr and Asr, or Asr and Dhuhr, or Maghrib and Isha. So one of these long flights, for example, you go into your homeland in Africa or China, or long flight. Okay? Who's in China? Somebody loves in China. It's like Zanzibar, even longer way. Type. So this person is moving before Dhuhr and he's going to land after Maghrib. So Dhuhr and Asr has to be in board of the plane. So in that plane he should make his best to pray standing up. He didn't allow him to pray what? Sitting down. So if you could pray standing up, pray standing up in the plane. And that's inshallah, we say لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. Allah does not burden a person more than what it takes. Also the Prophet said, فَإِذَا أَمَرْتُكُمْ بِأَمْرٍ فَأْتُوا مِنْهُ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ. If I command you with something, then bring as much as you are able to. So you are able to do this, then do it. If you're not able, don't do it. Right. He says then, after this, that it is in the fear, no problem not to stand up, just like we said in the face of the Qibla. حافظوا على الصلوات والصلاة الوسطى. What is the Salah al-Wusta? The middle prayer. Scholars are different. And the difference among the scholars can reach almost 12 sayings. And the correct opinion is Salat al-Wusta is Salat al-Asr. Because of the hadith of the Prophet said, Salat al-Wusta, Salat al-Asr. And he said also in the Battle of the Trench regarding Banu Qurayza from the Jews, شَغَلُونَا عن صلاة الوسطى. They have preoccupied us from praying the middle prayer, which is the Asr prayer. مَلَأَ اللَّهُ بُيُوتَهُمْ وَقُبُورَهُمْ نَارًا. May Allah fill their houses and their graves fire, because they have made us not to pray the prayer of the Asr on time. They missed it. So Salat al-Wusta. So Salat al-Wusta is Salat al-Asr, because it comes between 2 day prayers and 2 night prayers. The 2 day prayers, which is what? Fajr, Dhuhr. And the night prayers, Maghrib and Isha. Prophet ﷺ, he said he prayed in his prayer and his illness when he was ill just before he died. He said he prayed sitting down. Yes, he prayed sitting down. And he had also, we're going to be talking about it inshallah in a minute. Well, let me talk about it now, at the moment. He prayed sitting down in a way that he was muqtadiyan, ma'muman. Abu Bakr was the imam, and the Prophet was always behind him. And once he prayed imam, a leader, and Abu Bakr was muqtadiyan. But in that I need to explain there's something there you might puzzle you, so we have to make you relax with us in understanding this hadith. There was a hadith that the Prophet ﷺ, he led the prayer while he was sitting down. Okay, that's not in the illness of his death. He had been hit, because of that he couldn't stand up. So he sat down. While he was sitting down, companion was praying standing up. So he iltafata ilayhim, he looked at them like that. And remember, the Prophet ﷺ, he could see from his what? Hand. So why did he look at them? You could just see them. Because he wants them to notice that he's looking at them. He wants them to see that he is not approving of what they're doing. So he looked at them and he gave them a gesture. You know what? Sit. Who can see the gesture? The front row. So the front row would what? Sit. So the rows behind will what? Follow. That's what we should be. The first row is an imam for the second row. Second row is an imam for the third row. Third row is an imam for the fourth row. That's how it is. But these days, each row, the imam will themselves. The first row did something, let them do whatever they like. I'm not going to follow them. Either because of the lack of information, or they think maybe the first row are ignorant anyway. Why should I follow them? True or not? So the first row should be the imam of the second row. He said, just one, all of them sat down. First row sat, and everybody sat behind him. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ, he said, لِيَلِيَنِ مِنْكُمْ أُولُو النُّهَى, that the ones who are behind me, the ones who are prudent, sedate, people who are knowledgeable. So if you know that the first rows are the ones of Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman and Ali, radiallahu anhum jami'an, you're bound to sit down. But if you know that the people in the front are the ones who are nothing, you're not going to follow them when they're making mistakes. So the ones who are knowledgeable always should be behind the Imam. Should not be praying behind, akhi. Should be always keen to pray one in the front, because they are the Imam for the ones at the back. And also, in case something happened to the Imam, then I know what I'm going to do. So once I prayed without wudu, it was only about 3 days ago. The one who made the adhan, he's the most knowledgeable, still praying behind me. He prayed somewhere else. And I was praying the Isha prayer. Allahu Akbar. Started the Fatiha. Recited the surah. And while I was doing the surah, the first verse I wanted to plan to read, I can't remember. I planned to read more than 3-4 verses. Yeah, Surah Al-Imran. And then I just recited one verse and I stopped. Because I remembered I was not what? On wudu. So I looked behind to look where he is. The row is big. Where is he? And all the ones behind the kids. I can't pull somebody like this. Where is he? So I had to, because it's too far. He should have come by himself. Because I looked. So I pulled the one which one behind me. I put him there. Disaster recitation. Disaster recitation. So the person behind the Imam should be the one who can take over straight away. There will be no fuss whatsoever. And in this, there will be no fuss. Something that happened, very rare happens. Only happens to me once in my life. We were 2 imams in the masjid. Happens about 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Not more than 4 years ago. 2 imams in the masjid. We pray in the Asr. Right. I started the prayer. Okay? And in the first rak'ah, finished it, gone to the second rak'ah. The second imam joined in the second rak'ah. The second imam joined what? The second rak'ah. So, while in the second rak'ah, I remembered, oh, I was not on wudu. I left. Second imam came and he was too far. Now, he himself went and led the prayer. Now he's going to lead the prayer what? It's his first rak'ah. Because he's just joined. So he led the prayer. Now, problem is, it's going to be the last rak'ah. If they're going to do 4 rak'ah with him. So I went. No, I'm sorry, because it's been 4 or 5 years ago, it's not that. Actually, let me just read it, it was actually myself. When I led the prayer at the beginning, I led, and in the first rak'ah, he joined in, the imam. He was from the beginning. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. I remembered I was not on wudu. So I left to make the wudu. I made the wudu and I came back, and I already missed the rak'ah. I joined the first row, and the people behind the imam, they're old people. Some of them young, but they're not really knowledgeable. In the second rak'ah, the second imam, remember he's not on wudu. So he left. I took over. Now when I took over, I missed what? One rak'ah. So I took over. That's what happened. I took over. And that was really something. We stayed about 5 minutes laughing after the prayer. So when he left, I took over. So now it's my first rak'ah, the people's what? Second rak'ah. So they did with me in the last rak'ah. I didn't stand up. I could see from my behind, some of them stood up and some of them sat down. Some of them, because they are knowing to be 5 rak'ah. So they stood up with me because I'm the imam. I finished the prayer. And of course, they're gossiping, what they're talking about. My prayers are invalid. Let's do the prayer again. The prayer is valid. I said to them, who's right? The one who sat or the one who stood up with him? I said, well, first of all, don't worry. We had ikhtilaf among the scholars, so both of you correct. Some scholars said this one, some scholars said that one. Some of them said you can't make 5 rak'ah, some of them you could make 5 rak'ah. Because of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, he prayed instead of 4 asr, 5. Companions followed him on the 5th. And then after that they told him, and the Prophet of Allah made what, 2 sajda? Sahm. Now, some scholars argue, they said, إِنَّمَا جُعِلَ الْإِمَامُ لِيُتَمَّ بِهِ. The Prophet was made, so the Imam was to be made to be followed. So if he stands up, stand up. He sits down, sits down. So you have to follow him, even if he prays 5 rak'ah. You have to follow him. The others replied, like Shaykh Al-Albaani, he said, well, the companions were in a asr tashri', in a time where the prayer could change in the rak'ahs. So the 4 rak'ah may be changed to what? 5 rak'ah. But if they knew it's going to stay 4 rak'ah, they will not stand up. That's the other side. So both are strong. Our Shaykh Al-Albani says you have to follow the Imam, Rahmatullah. That even if he does the 5th, when the Prophet of Allah he said, إِنَّمَا جُعِلَ الْإِمَامِ لِيُؤْتَمَّ بِهِ, Imam is to be made to be followed. It's not when he's correct, even when he's what? When he's wrong. So if he stands up, not to make the tashahhud, you're going to sit down and make it from tashahhud, you're going to stand up with him. If he does not make the tashahhud in the middle, do you stand up with him, or do you sit? Go up and I'm going to make my tashahhud. Do you make tashahhud? Or stand up with him, even if he's doing what? Mistake. You're going to go up with him. Even if he made a mistake. Same thing if he made a mistake in the 5th rak'ah. So he's in the 5th rak'ah. Subhanallah. Subhanallah. So he thinks maybe all of you are wrong. Or maybe he thinks that, I don't know what you're talking about, what's wrong? He doesn't know that he's doing 5th rak'ah. Or he thinks that all of you are wrong. Subhanallah, Subhanallah. They didn't say Subhanallah to me because they know that I missed the rak'ah when I came back. Remember? In my case, they didn't say Subhanallah to me because they know I missed the rak'ah. Yeah, I missed my wudu. But this Imam, Subhanallah, so what are you going to do? Leave him on his own? Imagine a person came to the prayer where the Imam is standing on his own and everybody sitting down. Huh? What happens to you? What type of prayer is this? Huh? Imam on his own? People sitting down. Is this a scene that shows you that the people are obedient to their Imam or disobedient? And that's what the Shaykh Al-Albani says. You have to follow the Imam. And Imam, من أطاع أميري فقد أطاعني ومن أطاعني فقد أطاع الله. He who does follow my Amir, the one who is leading instead of me, he had obeyed me. He obeys me, obeyed Allah. So you follow the Imam. But the one who sat down and told him, there is another argumentation. So don't worry, all of your prayer is correct. But that something was documented. SubhanAllah, me and the second Imam, I don't think have ever happened. Okay, right. Something else that happened, inshallah, remind me to say to you, very funny. Have I said it to you before? Okay, inshallah. This is a copyright. But we'll keep it, inshallah, for the next class. Remind me of that. Wait. Says here, when he was telling them like this, after the prayer he said to him, إِن كِدْتُمْ آنِفًا لَتَفْعَلُونَ فِعْلَ فَارِسَ وَالرُّومِ. You're almost doing what the Persian and the Romans, they do to their kings and monarchs. What do? The king sit down and they stand up. They will never sit down. The king will sit and these people will stand up. So what you're doing, you're letting me to feel like that I am like a Roman emperor. Sitting down and you standing up. He said, for verily, do not do so. إِنَّمَا جُعِلَ الْإِمَامُ لِيُؤْتَمَّ بِهِ. Imam is to be made, to be followed. فَإِذَا رَكَعَ فَارْكَعُوا. When he bows, bow down. وَإِذَا رَفَعَ فَارْفَعُوا. Get up. وَإِذَا صَلَّى جَالِسًا فَصَلُّوا جُلُوسًا أَجْمَعُونَ. And if you pray sitting down, you pray sitting down all together. Have you ever prayed behind an Imam was sitting down in the masjid and everybody was sitting down? Tell me, put your finger up. I'll give you 20 pounds. 50 pounds. Nobody. Challenge me. Yalla. I have. in a masjid, and there were lots of people. But the people, they understand the sunnah. But here, if the imam, who is the hafiz, most hafiz, he can't stand up because he's ill, he himself will say, I don't want to lead the prayer. He will let somebody else who is not even hafiz, or not even good in recitation, because he don't want to get into this hassle, and huss and fuss, and everybody saying, what type of prayer is this, and subhanallah. Because some of the madahib, they don't really accept it. They say that the person who cannot stand up, he cannot lead the person who's standing up. The person who is a traveler cannot lead somebody who is what? Resident. And this is the opposite. For the Prophet ﷺ, he led them. And this hadith is authentic, it has not been abrogated. So let's go to the incident that took place when he was in his last illness before he died. There's a hadith where the Prophet of Allah prayed as a follower behind Abu Bakr. And he was sitting down. And Abu Bakr was what? Standing up. And the companions were sitting down or standing up? Standing up, because they're following who? Abu Bakr. Second incident, that's the one that made confusion and made as well controversial issues. And that is, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu was leading the prayer. Prophet of Allah came and he was leading Abu Bakr. And Prophet of Allah, he was what? Sitting down. Abu Bakr, who was being led, he was what? Standing up. Companions behind him, standing up or sitting down? Standing up. That's the confusion here. They said that means there's an abrogation. The hadith that tells us that the imam is sitting down, pray sitting down, has been abrogated because of the time of the illness. This hadith is more than one interpretation for it. And the correct one we're concerned about. That if the imam, listen to me, is to start the prayer standing up, something happened to him and he sat down, and there is no need for the people behind him to sit down. You understand that? So if I started healthy, second rak'ah, something happened to my legs, I couldn't stand up, then there's no harm for the people to stand up. Because hadith, remember, you are not making like the Persians and the Romans, because you were standing up and I was standing up. So it's not going to take the same image, because you stood up already with me. And the king of the Romans, they will never, you understand me? Let their king stand up and they sit down. You understand me? They will never do that. So alhamdulillah, I did not imitate. So if you started standing up, then suddenly something happened to you as an imam, the people, they don't have to sit. That's the only interpretation that could combine all the hadiths. The Prophet of Allah, he came after Abu Bakr led the prayer. Part of this prayer, the people behind Abu Bakr. Then Abu Bakr became the person behind the Prophet ﷺ. It happens. Not just in this incident, number of incidents. Prophet of Allah, he came from the side, the outskirts of the Medina. There was something that happening, solving matters between the tribes. And already Abu Bakr was leading the prayer. The Prophet of Allah came in the rows, started getting closer and closer, and people behind Abu Bakr started making a noise. So much. And Abu Bakr, usually the case does not look behind. He is focused on what? On Salah. Suddenly, or after this clamor has gone really up, he had to look behind. He looked behind and he saw whom? The Prophet ﷺ. Soon as he saw the Prophet ﷺ, he reversed. Went back to make the Prophet of Allah what? Lead, continue. So part of the prayer was Abu Bakr was a leader. Now the Prophet was going to be the leader. So the Prophet of Allah gave him a gesture to Abu Bakr. What? Stays an imam. So what did Abu Bakr do? He like this. Like this. Praising Allah and still reversing. Praise Allah, still reversing. Why praise Allah? But the Prophet of Allah wanted to what? To lead, even he is behind. But he's still reversing. So the Prophet of Allah had to what? To lead. So he led the prayer. After the prayer, asked him, why don't you lead the prayer? ما كان لابن أبي قحافة أن يؤم الناس وفيهم رسول الله وسلم. No way, it's not fit for the son of Abu Quhafa. You know when you say son of Abu Quhafa, you belittling yourself. You're not mentioning Abu Bakr. It's not fitting for the son of Abu Quhafa, which is himself, to lead the people while the Prophet of Allah is with them. No way. So he reversed, but he had thanked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the Prophet of Allah to let him go. Stay put, lead. Alhamdulillah. And he went back, no way. So in that incident as well, Abu Bakr was leading. Prophet enters and he became the Imam. Abu Bakr, when he's standing up, he was being led by the Prophet who is what? Sitting down. Because he did not start the prayer of the Prophet. Abu Bakr was starting the prayer. So he's now being led by Abu Bakr, by the Prophet, and Abu Bakr was the leader for whom? For the people behind. Abu Bakr was being led by the Prophet, and the people was led by Abu Bakr. That's the only interpretation for this. And we stay with this hadith. إِنَّمَا جُعِلَ الْإِمَامِ لِيُؤْتَمَّ بِهِ. Let's finish the last topic, which is Salat al-Marid al-Jalisa. Now.
Imran ibn Hussein radiallahu anhu said, I was suffering from hemorrhoids, piles, so I asked the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and he said, pray standing. If you're not able, then sitting down. If you are not able to do so, then pray lying down. Imran ibn Hussein also said, I asked him sallallahu alayhi wa sallam about the prayer of a man while sitting. So he said, he who prays standing, that is better. He who prays sitting, his reward is half that of the former. He who prays lying down and in another narration reclining has half the reward of the one who sits. This applies to the sick person. For Anas radiallahu anhu said, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam came out to the people and they were praying sitting due to illness. So he said, verily the prayer of the one who sits is worth half of the prayer of the one who stands. Once he sallallahu alayhi wa sallam visited a sick person and he saw him praying leaning on a pillow. So he took it and cast it aside. So the man took a stick to pray leaning on it, but he took it and cast it aside and said, pray on the ground if you can, but otherwise make movements with your head, making your sujood lower than your ruku'.
Right. This is the prayer of the person who is ill. Imran ibn Hussein is our main companion for this chapter. He says, I had hemorrhoids, piles, something in your backside, you can't even sit properly. You cannot stand up properly. You can't do your life properly. If you have been severe. So I've asked the Prophet ﷺ regarding that. Sometimes I can't stand up, I have to sit. Sometimes, what can I do? So the Prophet ﷺ, he said, pray standing up. If you can't, then sit. If you can't, on your side. What's to sit? Pray to sit. The praying of the sitting down is the praying of one of the ways of making tashahhud, or sitting between the two jalsa. So either you're making tawarruk, iftirash, or iq'a'. So let's just do the three things. If you are not able to stand up, you're going to pray sitting down. So iftirash, who's going to be doing these things? Yeah. Iftirash, I just show you that, yeah?
Yeah, you get one, you have to go.
Yeah, I'll do it correct. I just want to see you first. Yeah. Everybody can just look at him, please. The ones at the back, please fill up the gaps. Come forward, Ikhwan. Don't leave gaps. Wallah, it's not good. Come forward, come forward. There's a gaps here. Come forward. We're not playing, by the way. Because people are breathing like a ruku' and sujood. Make iftirash. Yeah, iftirash. I want to see you. Right. Iftirash. Okay, look at the iftirash. He had sat on his left foot and his right is up and his toes towards the qibla. That's one of the ways to sit down if you're not capable of standing up. I can't do that. I could do tawarruk. Make tawarruk, please. Put that, yes. That's it. That's tawarruk. And that's one of the ways of to sit down if you're not able to stand up. If you can't, then the way the tawarruk, you could do it another way, which is, by the way, the tawarruk. What's happening with this? Wait. Don't worry, we are in the right department here. This toes of his, they could be towards the Qibla, and they could be as well flat. Can you flatten your toes, the right foot? Flatten them. No, flatten them as in the other direction.
Just the toes.
Just the toes, not towards the Qibla. Not towards the Qibla. That's it. That's it. You could do like this as well. Okay? Because you're not comfortable, you haven't done it before, that's why. Now go back to your other way you're comfortable too. Okay? Now we're going to go to tawarruk, which is by putting that left foot of yours between your thigh and your right leg. Can you do that? That left foot of yours between your thigh and the right thigh, and that's it. That's another tawarruk as well. Okay, that's tawarruk. That's even easier. Why? Because you will hold your right foot on the floor. Okay? You could do this, and you could do as well with the toes. Again, do the toes again. The toes. No, the toes. You remember the toes? Yes, that's it. That's as well tawarruk. You do if you are ill. You could do iqa. Do the iqa as well if you are ill. So you got now how many positions? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 positions. That's iqa. That is iqa. This is the way to do iqa as well. Okay. I can't do one of these. This is all the ones that have been mentioned in the prayer. I can't do one of these. Then I could do cross-legged. Do cross-legged. Because you're ill. Cross-legged. 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 Yes. Cross-legged. Because you're not able. No problem. So you haven't done this or that. Cross-legged. You can't do cross-legged. Stretch your foot towards the Qibla. Do like that. I can't do cross-legged. Because I'm sitting down. So look, I could do like that. So you have to try the sunnah first. If you can't, then do the ones that you can. Alright? So we've taught you now number of ways of sitting down. Now, if I can't sit down at all on my side, so what I'm going to do on my side? Yalla. You are ill now. Then the Qibla is this one. Very well done. He is praying towards the Qibla with his face. Now, he could sit, he could reflect himself, yes. So you could make on the floor. Yes, because he's ill. So what about if he can't on this side, then you're going to do what? Back. Well, how is his back? No. Put your feet like this. That's it. So you're going to go back. Your face with the Qibla and your feet towards the Qibla. So that's the back. So this is the last position of illness. Okay? So understood how many positions are, mashallah, plenty. Right. Now if you're going to make ruku' and sujood, if you are sitting down, you're sitting down now. Sit the way that you like. Tawarruk, iftirash, whatever you like. Make ruku' and sujood. Ruku' and sujood has to be the head with the body. Not the head like this. No, the head with the body. Somebody asked me the last time, I don't know from this side. So you make ruku' now. Okay, ruku'. More. That's it. You have to make sure that you are going to like facing the earth. Sujood. Yeah. As much as you can. He's doing mashallah because he's agile. Mashallah, go to the gym. Some people, they can't do that. His big belly sticky and they can't really even bend more than this. Yeah, just a bit lower. Just a bit lower. So if you can't do a bit lower, then you do the same. You can't do a bit lower. But your ruku' has to be as much as you can. Like, so go more. That's ruku'. That is ruku'. So if you can't do more than that, just a bit stuck in sujood. Just stay. Yes, that's sujood. So ruku' and sujood just slightly different between them. And we said the last time not to put your hands what? On the air. Make sujood. Yeah, make sujood. People do a sujood like this. Okay, like flying on a carpet. We said it's not correct. You remember that? Correct. Like, alhamdulillah. So now we understood how to make the prayer when you are ill. You cannot pray your sunnah if you're not ill by on your side or on your back. But you could pray what? Sitting down, the way that we showed you, the sunnah way. Sitting down. Now, definitely if you are able to stand up, You're not allowed to sit down in the front. If you are able to pray standing up, you're not allowed to pray sitting down in the front. But you're allowed to pray sitting down, you are what? In the sunnah. If you pray in the sunnah sitting down, then your prayer is going to be half of the what? Of the reward of Tanzania. But he says here, but the one who is on his side, half of the one of his what? But this is for the ill. Right. But if it's for the ill, we know there's a hadith from the Prophet ﷺ where he says, a number of hadith, please listen. You could understand what we're talking about. That the Prophet ﷺ, he said that which is hadith in Sunan Nasa'i, on the authority of Darda, that the Prophet of Allah, he said, he who comes to his bed and he is intending to pray the night prayer, then somehow his eyes had overwhelmed him and he couldn't wake up until the morning, for Allah Azza wa Jal would write for him what he had intended to do, and his sleep will become a sadaqah upon him. And also the Prophet ﷺ, he said, which is Sahih Bukhari, on the authority of Abu Musa, if the person gets ill, or he had trouble, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would write to him everything that he used to do when he was resident and healthy. Also, the hadith which is in Muslim and Ahmad, on the authority of Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, radiyallahu anhuma, that the Prophet ﷺ, he said, ما من أحد من المسلمين, not a single person from among the Muslims, يبتلى ببلاء في جسده, was struck with an affliction, something wrong in his body, إلا أمر الله الحفظة الذين يحفظونه, except that Allah Azza wa Jalla would command the ones who are guarding him from the angel, اكتبوا لعبدي, write to my slave, في كل يوم وليلة, in every night and every day, ما كان يعمل وهو صحيح ما دام محبوسا في وثاقه, that whatever he used to do when he was healthy, as long as he is being cuffed up in my cuff, that means in my ill, because Allah will impose the illness upon you. So as long as you are being chained with that, Allah is commanding the angel to write everything that you used to do when you are healthy. Now, if I understood this, so how can I reconcile saying that the person who is ill, if he prays sitting down, he will get half of the reward of the person who prays standing up? I understand that if he is capable in the sunnah, he's sat down, then he'll get the half. But somebody who can't, how can he get the half? This hadith is to be interpreted in the following way, that the Prophet of Allah had come to people and he wanted to encourage them. And the encouragement was so much that the companions would make sure that they would stand up even though they're getting a bit tired. So in the qiyam, they will use a stick to lean it, to keep standing up. In the illness, Allah was he said, حَتَّى كَانَ الرَّجُلُ يُؤْتَى فَيُهَادَ بَيْنَ الرَّجُلَيْنِ حَتَّى يُقَامَ فِي الصَّفِّ. The man who was ill can't even stand up because of his illness. He would come between the two people, and the two people with their shoulders, because the shoulder to the shoulder, will make him to what? To stand up. That's how the rows are intact, mashallah. Shoulder to shoulder, but that brother doesn't want to sit down because he's ill, but he's using the shoulder of his brothers to keep what? Standing up. But if he couldn't, because it's too difficult for him, don't worry, akhi. For verily, alhamdulillah, Allah will give you the full reward. Now these days, we know that some people, just for the sake of any little sort of pain, little bit, he would like to have the comfort of the chair. And we come now to the era of the praying of the chair. Wallah, have you ever seen a person praying sitting down on the floor? Have you? You haven't. All the ones who can't sit, they pray where? On the chair. With respect to our uncles, the chair is only for the person who cannot sit on the floor, it harms him. But the ones who sit on the floor, then he should sit on the floor. Because if he is to miss sujood, when he can make sujood, he's making 3 pillars missing. First sajda, second sajda, and in the middle. That's 3 pillars. Because he's doing it on air. Huh? Why do you do the chair? Make him on air. And he's supposed to be doing what on them? Around. But if you can't make sujood on the ground, because he can't sit down, that's the chair where it comes in. He could stand up, but he can't sit down. That's the chair. Because he could stand up. But if he can't stand up, he cannot sit down, he cannot, that's the chair. He can stand up, but he can't sit down, chair. But if he could sit down, and he cannot stand up, then he has to what? To pray on the floor. Because he's going to miss 3 pillars. His prayer is invalid. First sajda, second sajda, and in between. Those are 3 pillars. We need to have the fiqh of the chair, guys. We're going to add to this book the fiqh of praying on the chair. Wallah, it is a fiqh. It's a fiqh. And it needs to be learned and taught how to pray on the chair. Because some of the people have said when they are on the chair, they pray like this. They put their hands on the air. They've seen other people do it, they do the same thing. So we need to make sure they understand that there's no air. That's not being narrated. Some people take it from other people. All people follow people. That's not a hadith. Okay? We follow Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. A person who wanted to pray on a wisad, a pillow. Prophet Allah took it away. He took a stick so he could pray on it. He took it away. He said, do what? Gesture. So if you're praying in the plane and you can't stand up, you're not supposed to bring the tray which is in front of you and start making sujood in it. That's a pillow. Do you understand what I'm saying? Some people open the tray, which is the food tray, and start making sujood. He thinks it's the floor. It's not the floor. This is a tray. If you can't stand up because they didn't allow you, then you pray on the chair like this. Ruku', sujood a bit more. You understand? Ruku', a bit sujood is a bit more. Alright? There's no trays, no pillows, no sticks, nothing like this. Don't innovate in the deen of Allah, by which, alhamdulillah, come to the end. And we'll have the next 10 minutes, inshallah, for questions. Jazakumullah khairan for listening. أسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن ينفعنا بما قد سمعنا وأن يجعل ما سمعنا في ميزان أعمالنا إنه ولي ذلك القادر عليه.